Just over a week ago, Americans celebrated Memorial Day. It's a day that honors U.S. veterans, in part by celebrating the freedom for which those veterans fought and died. Yesterday, Israel celebrated its own kind of Memorial Day. Unlike America's version established in 1868, Israel's was established about 3,464 years ago. Called Shavuot, it's one of 3 holy days in Judaism when all Israel was summoned to celebrate at the temple in Jerusalem. Although the Gospels do not explicitly mention it, it is virtually certain that, as an observant Jew, as I was saying before the Houthis so rudely interrupted, while the Gospels do not explicitly mention it, it's virtually certain that, as an observant Jew, Yeshua made that pilgrimage throughout his life. Obviously, it's important. But what is it? What is Shavuot? Does it matter today? Is it important for disciples of Yeshua? In this week's report, we are in for a treat. My good friend and former Bible teacher in Jerusalem's Christ Church is now living in England. During his 26 years in Israel, he became an enthusiastic scholar of Judaism, especially its vital connection to Christianity. Studying with Orthodox rabbis, he gained remarkable insights into our connection with Judaism as followers of Yeshua, including Shavuot. We will also meet up with Dr. Shai Hengal, head of Hibuki therapy in Israel. Remember Hibuki? In May, our Tipping Point family raised $10,800 for the application of Hibuki therapy for Christian children suffering from trauma in Nazareth, Yeshua's hometown. Today, we present that gift. And that's what's coming up. First, just a bit of news. As I speak, Israel is intercepting a missile from the Houthis. You probably can't hear it in the background, but the booms are going off as I speak. The front pages of Israel are primarily focused on the war in Gaza. Will U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff be able to negotiate a deal to release all the remaining hostages from 7 October 2023? Today, at least, it isn't looking likely. Another ongoing story, so ongoing it just happened, is what feels like a never-ending stream of missiles fired at the Jewish state from 1,300 miles away, launched by a Yemenite terror organization called the Houthis. Since Israel began hitting back at the Houthis on 18 March, they've launched about 43 missiles and at least 10 armed drones at Israel. In the aftermath of U.S. President Trump's American ceasefire with the Houthis on 6 May, there has been no decrease in missiles launched at the Jewish state. Those are the big headlines here. But as always, the biggest story lurking behind those headlines, a story that could erupt into global prominence on any given day, is Iran and its nuclear program. As you may recall, on 20 May, CNN broke the story that Israel was preparing an imminent strike on the Islamic Republic's nuclear development sites. Ever since, there have been reports that this is likely to be in conflict with U.S. President Trump's initiative to negotiate a treaty with Iran that would preclude it from developing a nuclear arsenal. That concern was validated last Wednesday, 28 May, when President Trump made these remarks to journalists at the swearing-in ceremony for Jeanine Pirro as the interim U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia.
Back on Iran, did you warn Prime Minister Netanyahu against taking some sort of actions that could disrupt the talks there in a phone call last week?
Well, I'd like to be honest. Yes, I did. Next question, please. It's not a warning. I said I don't think it's appropriate.
What exactly did you tell him? Did you
I just said I don't think it's appropriate. We're having very good discussions with him, and I said I don't think it's appropriate right now. Because if we can settle it with a very strong document, very strong, with inspections and no trust. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. So no trust. I want it very strong, where we can go in with inspectors, we can take whatever we want, we can blow up whatever we want, but nobody getting killed. We can blow up a lab, but nobody's going to be in the lab, as opposed to everybody being in the lab and blowing it up, right? Two ways of doing it. Yeah, I told him this would be inappropriate to do right now because we're very close to a solution. Now, that could change at any moment, could change with a phone call. But right now, I think they want to make a deal, and if we can make a deal, save a lot of lives.
When do you think a deal could happen on Iran?
I don't know. I think over the next couple of weeks, if it happens.
Only 3 days after these comments, Israel's Yediot Aharonot reported that, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency's latest confidential report, it is estimated that Iran already has enough enriched uranium to produce material for some atomic bombs within a week. In addition, the IAEA report claims that Iran's cooperation with the agency's investigation is below expectations. According to the agency's definitions, about 42 kilograms of uranium is enriched to 60%, theoretically sufficient, given additional enrichment, for the production of a nuclear bomb. Regarding the lack of cooperation with the IAEA, the agency noted that Iran repeatedly did not respond to its inquiries or did not provide sufficient technical answers. It even engaged in quote-unquote disinfection of nuclear sites. What will Israel do? If it attacks Iran's nuclear program, it's likely to offend and alienate President Trump. If it doesn't attack, Iran is likely to become a nuclear power in as little as a week from the time it decides to do so.